Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thank you for joining us here today. We are brought to you by Russell & Associates, coming to you from the 111 Riverfront Building, the Latch Development Center in downtown Winona. Here to talk football with head coach Brian Bergstrom. And Coach, just at the outset, I wish this game would have been at home because this would have been a great one for us to broadcast and watch along with. Just a crazy ending. Back and forth battle between the two teams. Your thoughts on what happened this weekend?
Yeah, college football is exciting, and it certainly was that on Saturday, and may give you a heart attack as well. So it was just a great testament to our guys' belief and their fight and no quit, and just if there's a second left on the clock, there's game left to be played, and whether you're up or down. So very excited about how they finished, and to get back to a 4-4 record.
All right. Well, I think at one point you were down 20-7, and you were able to close the gap a little bit before halftime. You know, what was kind of your thought? What was the thought on the sidelines as you were kind of facing that deficit heading into halftime?
Well, we talked all week that our ability to not only handle adversity but thrive in adversity was going to be key. So reminded our guys before to expect adversity. It's going to happen. And that's probably the greatest joy I have is how well we handled that. And we stayed steady, we stayed consistent, we kept fighting, and look what happens.
Yeah.
So, you know, we didn't panic, I can tell you that.
All right. Were there any changes that you made at halftime, or was it just, you know, stick-to-itiveness?
Not dramatically. It was stick to the plan, and we just got to execute the plan better. And we did, and we got some momentum. And early in the second half, we forced a fumble, and then we scored on the very next play, and that's complementary football. And so within seconds of the second half, we were winning again, and we kicked it off to them. So that really sparked us, I felt.
All right. One of the other things is that the running game really got going in this one, and I know we talked at the last game and during the last home game with my color commentator, we were talking about how that's going to be important as these games move along because it's going to get colder, and run game is going to be important, and especially Karen Hendred, 178 yards rushing. He'll be the guest, so you can talk about him right now before he comes on. What did you think about him, especially during this game?
Well, it's been fun to see the whole running back room grow, but it's certainly Karen who didn't play last year and was on the team, but we redshirted him last year, and taking advantage of every opportunity he's getting. And he's got a low center of gravity that was a gift from birth, and he is so fast. So when he breaks through, it's very hard to catch him, and it's hard to see him, to be quite honest, behind the line sometimes. And just ran the ball hard. And then when he got out in space, he turned a good play into a great play. And super humble, hardworking, gives credit to others, but that's a reflection of that whole room. That's when there's only one guy in the game, and when a guy's hot, we're going to play him more. You know, that's the true testament of team right there.
All right. Well, I know he was key down the stretch, as was Quentin Pringle. Ty Gavin, I think, had a touchdown late in the game as well. For those that didn't see it or didn't see any of the wrap-up, I mean, it was a crazy fourth quarter, where it was back and forth all game, but especially fourth quarter, it looked like maybe it was headed to overtime, but you guys got a late touchdown to take the lead, and then Sioux Falls had a chance, but they didn't really get anything going in the last couple minutes. Describe what happened in that fourth quarter and how you guys handled it.
Yeah, well, it was back and forth the whole game.
Yeah.
And in the fourth quarter, we got the ball back, and it was a tie game, and had all our timeouts and a little bit over a minute. So we felt pretty good about our ability to get down there and to be able to get in field goal range and win the football game. And within a very short time, we're able to get the ball all the way down to the 1 because we had another big explosive run. So we really didn't need to use our timeouts. We got out of bounds. We got for a couple, 1 or 2 first downs, and then broke a big long run by Pringle and down to the 1 yard line. And there was about 45 seconds left. And then you got to decide, are you going to score the points and just have your defense win the game, or are you going to try and delay scoring to not let them have time? And that's a decision that we as coaches had to make quickly, and we called a timeout and talked about it, and we obviously went to score the points and let our defense win the game. And it was incredibly windy, and I just didn't want to risk something happening with the snap or something like that when we were running the ball so well, so I knew we could run in. So we took the points, and defense went out and won the game.
All right. Tell me a little bit then about the defense, because obviously they gave up some points, but they were able to lock it down when needed towards the end of the game. Tell me overall how you felt about the defense.
Well, I think we're continuing to grow. I think the biggest area we got to be more consistent, not giving up big plays. Mm-hmm. And where we did that the best was the third quarter. We shut them out in the third quarter, and that got us rolling again and got the takeaway. And we can play with anybody. It's just, can we play consistently for 60 minutes with anybody, specifically on defense? But I think it's also a trend of college football. You look at scores are high. And the days of 10-7 wins and that's playing good defense, it's different. I mean, shoot, even Nick Saban at Alabama and Kirby Smart at Georgia, they have a different philosophy now where you're going to need to score more points than 5, 10, 15 years ago. It's just the style of offenses, that's what's happening right now. Mm-hmm. So that's not an excuse. We can't give up that many points. But you also got to understand that we just got to score one more than they got, mm-hmm. right? And then you win the game. So whether we win 7-6 or 76-75, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me. The goal is to win the game.
All right. One of our other guests today is Rico De Leon, mm-hmm. Who had 2 sacks in the game against Sioux Falls. Tell me a little bit about him and the day that he had this weekend.
Yeah, well, Rico's been getting better every week, and it's been fun to see him progress in terms of just his maturity and being just a leader on the team and having a championship attitude in terms of bringing energy to everything we do. He's an energy guy. So whether it's a meeting, a walkthrough, a practice, a game, you know that you can depend on Rico for energy, and that's how you got to play the defensive line, mm-hmm. is with a bunch of energy. And you see that, and you see his excitement and his joy for playing, and just a great teammate. So excited to see him have success on the field too.
All right. Let's talk about a couple of other players. Griffin Weigel, who's been a guest here. You talked about the fumble recovery. He was able to get that fumble recovery. Tell me about the game he had this weekend.
Yeah. So really the whole back end, the whole secondary has been growing all year. It was an area that we knew we needed to be better at, and I think we are compared to last year. And Griff's been one of those guys that's played a lot more this year than he did last year. And on the play, one of our defensive linemen knocked it out of the quarterback's hands, and he was able to scoop it up and did a good job scooping it. Was able to go about 5 yards. There was a bunch of people in the area, so it didn't return it too far. But then our offense went out and scored the next play. So he has grown immensely, and him and Tristan Root and Nick Buccaro have been getting the most reps, and Vernon Port also gets in at safety. They're growing together, playing better together, and it'll be a big test this week coming up with Moorhead. They throw the ball around now.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. We still got a couple minutes here to talk about the game against Sioux Falls. Now, Tristan Root, you talk about him. The way that he has progressed in his career here at Winona State, I think he was more thought of on special teams as the punter when he first came in, but you knew that you had him, and the previous coaching staff knew that mm-hmm. you had him as a defensive player as well, that he could really hold his own on defense. And I think slowly but surely he's made that progression, and I think he's maybe the second leading tackler on your team this season. Talk about the way that he's been able to progress in the 2 years that you've had him.
Well, doing what he does is not easy. Mm-hmm. So he's our starting punter and has to be great there, and is also a starting safety. And we rotate guys in, so he's not in every single snap. But the amount of time that he spends in refining his game at DB and knowing the game plan there, that takes a lot of time. Mm-hmm. And where other punters in the league can be focusing on their technique, because there's less scheme as a punter, way more scheme as a safety. So his ability to balance that from a mental perspective has been impressive, and from a physical perspective is also very impressive. That he's stayed healthy, knock on wood, mm-hmm. and because we have GPS trackers, catapult trackers on a lot of our guys, and in terms of the steps that he puts in practice and the mileage that he goes every day, he's the highest. And that's because he's a high-effort player, but then he's also doing all the special teams work before practice, after practice, and really proud of him. He's really blossoming in his career.
I want to ask you about that GPS because obviously Tristan is one of those players. Clay Scheffner is another one that we always seem to be all around the field. So how much field do they cover during a game, during a practice? Do you have any numbers on that?
Well, it's crazy. I mean, especially during fall camp. I mean, guys are putting in, they're running 5-6 miles in a, throughout the practice, the walkthrough, the everything that they're doing. And you don't think of it that much, but you think all the times back and forth, but then you add in the walk into the cafeteria in the dorm, and they're putting their miles in.
Sure, absolutely. I did want to get back to the offense and just the passing game because you talked about the weather and the wind, and that obviously has some dealings with how you do for offense. And although Cole Svenstrom, 10 for 19, 163 yards, not really a bad game, but the passing game really wasn't there. Tell me a little bit about what you saw from the passing game this week.
Well, we had a few huge conversions. That Cooper Nelson had 2 big-time catches, and Skelly had a huge one over the middle. And those were big pass plays in the second half. And to be honest, we, as a receiver group, probably dropped. They were good balls, dropped 3 or 4. I'm talking explosive plays, maybe touchdown plays. And so I wouldn't put really any of those on the quarterback position. I would put them on our receivers, and they agree. I mean, we've talked about it. And so I think we did a decent job of managing the wind. And it's supposed to be, we'll see what the weather's going to be this week. It's going to be cold and maybe windy up in Moorhead. So.
All right, let's talk about that now. They are a team that I think is very similar to you as far as the results that they've had this season. Obviously, you talked about the pass. They're number 1 in the NSIC. Jack Strand has over 3,000 yards passing, which I think is 1,000 yards more than number 2 in the conference. They don't have a lot of rushing yards, 400 yards rushing, which could be a problem if the weather is bad and they have to rely on the run game instead of the pass game. But what do you see in what you've seen from them so far this season that you might be able to exploit this week?
Well, they can score some points. I know that. So they're a team that's going to try and outscore you, and they're going to try and run a lot of snaps on offense, and then they're going to try and hang in there on defense. And they lean on throwing the ball, certainly. So as the season goes on, the teams that can run the ball better generally are not as worried about what the weather's going to be.
Right.
So I'm excited about our ability to run the football. And now that doesn't mean that they can't run or that they couldn't throw it in poor weather. But I'm excited that we're balanced. We're more balanced than they are. And that's going to lend itself advantageous for us in all conditions. But they are dynamic and explosive in the pass game. Not always throwing the ball way downfield, but good yards after the catch. The quarterback's very smart, has played reps, a lot of reps in his career, and knows where to put the ball, knows when to not get hit, knows when to throw it away, and they do a good job spreading it out. We have got to be good at not giving up the big play and limit the yards after the catch. And what is a short game can't become a big game. We got to run to the football and tackle.
All right, about 2 minutes left in this segment. So what does the defense need to work on in practice this week to get ready for Minnesota State Moorhead?
Well, I think we need to really focus on being great in our discipline and our technique of playing man and zone, because we'll play both. So that's certainly fundamentally what we're going to be working on, and then maybe spending a little bit more time on pass defense because we're going to be in those situations more. So we'll lean a little bit that way, and we've defended a lot of teams that try to run the ball on us. So we may have to depend maybe a little bit less on practicing some of those things and go back to some of our banked reps that we've had over the year. But I think the biggest thing is we got to be sound in what the coverage is, where our eyes should be, where we should be aligned. And then when the ball is out, because he's not holding on to it forever. When the ball is out, we got to run to the ball like it's the last football play we'll ever play in our lives. And that's the relentless pursuit we need to have.
All right, very good. One other thing, do you still do the weekly luncheons for fans?
Yeah, every Thursday. So every Thursday throughout the season, Riverport Hotel, and they're at doors open at 11:40. We're always done by 1. A great opportunity to get a great lunch and hear from some of the coaches, hear from some of our players this week. Coach Hodges, our strength and conditioning coach, will be on, as well as Will Escobar. Both have been here, and then Morgan White, our long snapper, and Jacob Scott, our kicker. So they'll be the guests, and we watch some film from the last game. We preview the next game, and then we allow those guys to get up and share a little bit about themselves. And so we'd love to see anybody there this Thursday.
All right, very good. Hopefully a lot of people go to that, and good luck this week against Minnesota State Moorhead.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. We're going to take a break here on the Warrior Report. When we come back, Karen Hendred will join us right after this.
For over 60 years, Russell & Associates has been helping individual and business clients achieve what matters to them. Our trusted advisors have the expertise and experience to help with long-term plans for personal finance, business finance, or wealth management. Focus on what matters most. Call Russell & Associates certified public accountants and advisors today at 507-452-3100 or visit us online at russellcpafirm.com.
And welcome back to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. We are brought to you by Russell & Associates, coming to you from the 111 Riverfront Building, the Latch Development Center in downtown Winona. Joining us today, Karen Hendred, running back for the Warriors. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk a little bit about your beginnings. You're from Iowa.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about your high school days and how you got involved in football.
Yep, so grew up in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I actually didn't start playing football until 7th grade. Was heavily into baseball and basketball. Always had speed, ran track at an early age too, so figured out why not give it a try. Brother played football for Oregon. Also played football for the Seahawks, so just watching him play football throughout his career kind of catapulted my career as well. So
what's that like to have a brother that has played college football, played in the pros? You know, do you ask questions? Do you find out a little bit about that?
I think it makes everything easier, just from him going through the whole process, recruiting process, kind of how to train and kind of the ins and outs of college football and just kind of what to expect and, what to do moving forward.
All right. You were a track athlete as well, talking about the speed. Tell me a little bit about your track career.
Yeah, so ran track all through high school. Ran a 10.8 in high school. That's pretty good. Finished 3rd in the 100 meter my junior and senior season, so pretty well at that.
All right. Very good. So when you were looking for a place to go for college, I think you had a couple of different offers besides Winona State. What tipped the scales in Winona State's favor?
Yeah, so I got recruited by most of the colleges in NSIC. Had a couple D1 preferred walk-ons as well, but I think just the people here was what really brought me on my official visit. I'm from Iowa, and when you talk about Iowa, everyone talks about the people are good there, and I think that's the same story here. The people are awesome, relationships I built. Throughout the process, the coaches were really in contact with me, and it was just a good feeling.
All right. It took a while for you to get your college career going because you redshirted last year, and I think the year before that you were around, but didn't get on the field. What was that like to only be able to practice and not to be on the field?
Sure, it was hard at first, but everyone, it's timing. Everyone has their time. It showed me patience. I gotta have patience throughout the process. But in that time, I was able to, perfect my craft, and I was able to get ready, so I had to stay ready. So it was a good time.
All right. So what was it like this season then, getting your first real action in college football?
It's a good feeling, man, just to be able to, have that experience with your teammates, the guys you came in with, just to be able to share that moment with them. But it's awesome just to touch the field again, be able to, impact the game finally. It definitely feels good.
Well, speaking of impact, you certainly had that this week against Sioux Falls. 178 yards rushing, which I don't know if you know is in the top 40 single game performances all time at Winona State University. You're number 38 right now, which is pretty interesting. It's 2 rushes of 70 plus yards. In a situation like that, where you have an open field and you run down the field, for those that have never experienced it, what is that like, especially in college football? It's
a great feeling. Just, you see the green grass kind of breaking through, but, I got to get a lot of credit to my offensive line they do all the hard work up front, and it just makes it easier for me. So a lot of credit to those guys and the line and the offensive staff for having a great game plan and put me in the right direction.
All right, tell me what that relationship is like with the offensive line, because obviously you got to work hand in hand, and that's one of the things that we always hear from running backs is that you need a great offensive line to have a great performance. What do you need to do with the offensive line in practice and in games to have a good game?
I think it starts with the relationships, that I've created throughout my college career here. Always hanging out with them. Can go to them for anything. So I think it starts with the relationship as far as outside of football. But inside of football, I think it's just, timing. It's, perfecting your craft, doing things multiple times. So when it comes to game day, it's secondhand nature. But like I said, they put in a lot of work and practice. And when it comes to the game, it kind of all falls into place.
All right. The other question about Sioux Falls, it was a crazy back and forth game, especially in the fourth quarter. What was it like to go through a game like that?
Yeah, I haven't been through a game like that since high school, so it was really exciting. But, we were able just to keep pushing forward, knowing that we can't rely on the defense all the time because sometimes we do that. But I think it was a good experience for the offense just to be able to kind of control the game and to take matters into our own hands. So.
All right, and this week is Minnesota State Moorhead. Could be another shootout, high-scoring game.
Absolutely.
What do you need to do to be successful against Moorhead this week?
Just to continue to do the little things in practice, continue to watch film, just doing all the things that we've been doing, but at a more consistent pace. So I'm excited for that game. I'm sure the coaches are as well. So.
Okay. Obviously, 178 yards is a great game. You don't get that every game. Yeah. But what is a successful game for you personally?
Just to win. I think, at this point in the season, everything's for the seniors. I want them to go out with a bang. So just to win, that mattered most to me, just to get in a win at the end of the day. Stats don't matter to me. I'm a team guy. I love the guys around me. So just to win is all I care about.
All right. Well, congratulations on what you've accomplished so far, and good luck this week against Moorhead.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to take a break here on the Warrior Report. When we come back, Rico De Leon will join us right after this.
For over 60 years, Russell & Associates has been helping individual and business clients achieve what matters to them. Our trusted advisors have the expertise and experience to help with long-term plans for personal finance, business finance, or wealth management. Focus on what matters most. Call Russell & Associates Certified Public Accountants and Advisors today at 507-452-3100 or visit us online at russellcpafirm.com.
Meet Jenny Siseski of Edina Realty. With nearly 30 years' experience, she knows that right now is the best time to sell your home. Jenny will help you get top dollar, higher than ever before. With today's low interest rates, it's time to upgrade your home and increase its value. High demand and low inventory also make this a perfect time to list your home. Call for a free market analysis. Contact Jenny Siseski at Edina Realty today, 507-458-7038.
And welcome back to the Warrior Report here on HBC TV 25. We are brought to you by Russell & Associates, coming to you from the 111 Riverfront Building, the Latch Development Center in downtown Winona. And joining us now, Rico De Leon here.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
All right, so you're from Chippewa Falls.
Yes.
And you had a very successful high school career. In fact, your coach said that he never had a player like you because of the determination and everything that you had. What was your high school career like?
I mean, it was just awesome. I mean, all those coaches invested in me from a young age, so it was really fun to just play for coach, play with the guys. I mean, we had that group forever, so I was just a small piece in our success. So.
All right, I know that sometimes we can get some tall tales. I don't know if I have this right or not, but in one game, you fractured your hand. You sprained an MCL, and you kept going in the game. Is that correct?
I think so. I think it was against River Falls back in my day. It was like homecoming. I just kept playing. So it was my teammate. I don't know. I didn't even really care. That the adrenaline gets to you. You don't even notice that. But I was feeling it after the game.
I can imagine.
So, yeah.
So what was it like then to prepare for the next game after that? Because I think you guys were fighting for a playoff spot at that point, and so maybe that kind of led into you keeping playing in that game?
I think, we lost that game, and then we played like Eau Claire North. That was a win, and then we played Hudson. And it was like the weird year where the state of Wisconsin started adding like above 500 conference teams. So we just had to beat a team with like more wins and Hudson was the best team that year, and then we beat them senior year, so that's why I kept playing.
All right. You're also a really good community guy, too, from what I understand, because I think your coach or the football team decided that they wanted more community outreach, so you had to do a service project while you were at high school.
Oh,
and the
yeah.
thing that you did with another teammate is kind of create something so that underprivileged students could still get what they needed to be able to go to school and be like everybody else. Tell me a little bit about that service project.
Yeah, it was like end of our junior year, our coach said, if you want to be a captain, you got to do something for the school. So I had looked into the school, and they had a program called the Cardinal Landing, and it was kind of just for students who were struggling financially. They needed food or school supplies, and it was kind of struggling because no one knew about it. So I just shed some light on it, and then I kind of had a good, I don't know, I'm really good at getting people to give money to me, so I was good at getting them to donate, and I think we raised like $1,300 in like a week, something like that. It was cool, and it was cool because a lot of the students didn't know about it, so just telling them about it, they were like, oh yeah, I want to invest in that. So it's kind of just, I don't know, I've always had a good place in my heart for helping people. It's just the right thing to do, so.
All right, that's awesome. That's great. So let's get back to your football and talk about something that maybe really spurred you. You went to a camp at the University of Wisconsin that really kind of shed some light on your football career and what you needed to do to get better and to be a better player. Tell me a little bit about that and how that kind of moved you along in your football career.
I don't know, I went to a few camps in Wisconsin, so I'm going to take a guess.
Okay.
It was maybe my sophomore year
I
one.
think it was, yes.
I was young. I kind of like didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't know if I had like the talent, and then I went to that camp and I did pretty good. And I was going against supposedly really good recruits, and I never knew. So the coach was like, "You keep at it. You're going to be a good player." So just kept doing it, and worked out for me.
All right. You spent a year at a community college before you came here to Winona State. So what was it like how did you find out about Winona State, and how did you decide to come here?
You just want to know about the junior college, or just
No, after junior college, coming to.
They recruited me out of high school a lot, so it was kind of an easy decision. It was during COVID. I wasn't trying to go back to junior college and wait another maybe 2 years, so I was like, let's go to Winona State. It's close to home. Parents will be able to come to games, and it was just the right fit. The coaches were awesome. And then Coach Sawyer is from Chippewa Falls, and that connection, so it was kind of like a family connection already.
All right, and then you stayed here through the coaching change, and now you're kind of really blossoming, coming into your own. You had 2 sacks against Sioux Falls this weekend. Tell me a little bit about the game against Sioux Falls and what you're able to do to be successful.
We were coached. We had a good game plan. They hit some good plays. We didn't play great at some moments, but coaches got us ready. We had a good D-line plan for pass rushing. We saw some weaknesses in their games, so we took advantage of them, and worked out for me. So.
All right, so against Minnesota-Moorhead, that's your next game this weekend. They're a very prolific offense, especially passing, over 3,000 yards passing this season. What do you guys need to do, both you personally at your position and as a whole team, to be successful against Minnesota State-Moorhead?
I mean, it's just everyone's got to do their 1/11th, do their job. But when you're going against a quarterback from Bloomer,
Yeah,
I
there
say,
you
a
go.
good quarterback, I saw him in high school. But when you're going against a guy this good, you got to be able to contain him, get hits on him, and give the guys on the back end, the benefit of the doubt. We can't let this guy sit back there and go through progressions. So it's going to be really important to get hits on this guy.
All right, very good. Well, congratulations on what you've accomplished so far, and good luck this week against Moorhead.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you for watching the Warrior Report here on TV 25. We'll see you next week.